position. Annie Power at the last race down. Annie Power has gone but in front of the last length. Melanie Long.
Right the first time. They're running up towards the finish, and he's mistaken the winning post. He's mistaken the winning post completely, Roger Loughlin. And Hoyt
from Archibald. Hardy Eustace defends his title, but Archibald is flat out in second. Then he's followed now by Ryan. He's beginning to run. He's drifting off the true line. He heads for Alice must be home. Springs are going to win his fourth Betfair chase, and Cordo Star is still the king. Cordo Star wins.
Right, shall we finish on Haydock before we get out of here? Sprint Cup. Okay, Sprint Cup. Lovely.
I just thought it would be useful to place this race in some context, because it's just sometimes it can just pop up in the calendar, random Group 1 at Haydock on a Saturday in September. However, there are only, for open age horses, so for not just restricted to 2 or 3 year olds, there's only 6 Group 1 sprints in the UK each year, 2 of which happen at Royal Ascot. So you got the King Stand, as it was called, King Charles's now, 5 furlongs, then the Jubilee Stakes 6 furlongs. And then there aren't really that many throughout the season. So we had the July Cup in July, funnily enough, at Newmarket. A couple of weeks ago at York, we previewed the Nunthorpe Stakes, where we actually tipped the winner, which is good.
Sweet.
And then Haydock's Sprint Cup was traditionally the last sprint race of the season, so it was kind of seen as a bit of a cup final for the sprinters. However, Moneybags Ascot have invented Champions Day, which is ridiculous in mid-October when the ground is usually bog river. So they've added a champion sprint to the end of the season now. But I would say that I wouldn't take that form too literally. So yeah, one of the few main Group 1 sprints of the season, the Haydock Sprint Cup, and it's 400 grand pot, nearly 250 grand to the winner. So it's a decent race, and we've got 19 runners on Saturday.
Worth turning up then, that's for sure. Nice. All right, we'll do the 2 of the main ones. You got very close. Yeah, you got very similar recommendations. Let's start with you then, Duncan.
The favourite Lazat could be very good for this. As we kind of mentioned, he seems to be a very decent at 6 furlongs, having won at Royal Ascot earlier on this season, beating one of Japan's top sprinters in Satana Rive, which is rated 118. He was beaten last time out quite convincingly, actually, in Deauville by a horse that was coming from off the pace. And I'm hoping that the same will happen on Saturday, because Lazat is very much kind of absolutely blitzes it from the gates and just goes out from the front, and that's it. Hopefully he doesn't want anyone to pass him. But I expect the ground at the moment up in Haydock with the old weather watch, it looks like the weather's going to be crap. I think there's an amber weather warning for them up until tomorrow late morning.
Weather watch is crap.
Weather watch, yeah.
Don't go outside.
It's raining sideways, so I'm expecting there to be a bit more rain, although the ground may dry out a bit. You tend to hear from jockeys when they're kind of first interviewed on some of the first races on ITV and that when it's been raining for a few days prior and then it's dry, it kind of makes the ground go dead. So I'm not sure, although Lazat's won on kind of heavy ground and things like that previously, I just worry that running from the front at Haydock, which when they say it's good ground, I call bullshit almost immediately, because the ground there is normally pretty freaking horrible at the best of times. So I think that something coming from off the pace might do well here. And the other selection I've got, aside from the one that Elle will mention, is Time for Sandals, at time of recording is 8-1. I was unlucky last time out, ran in the King George Qatar Stakes at Goodwood. Got trapped in. I watched the race back just before we came online. And he got trapped on the rails, probably about 2 furlongs out, when he was just about to start mounting his challenge against the then winner JM Jungle. He was beaten 3/4 of a length into 3rd. And the form of that race has actually been franked by the tip that Elle gave actually for the race at York, Asphora, who finished 7th in that race in the King George, and then went on to win the Wootton Bassett at York. He's nicely drawn in stall 2, which doesn't necessarily always mean a draw bias, but there is potentially some draw bias up at Haydock. So if you want to be on the lower end or midway down, but a lot of the pace is all around the centre. So you've got Lazat, I think you've got Rage of Bambi, and there's another horse I can't think of, but they're all within kind of like stall 9 to 12 or 13. So all the pace will be up there. So Time for Sandals normally likes to sit behind the pace slightly and then come from off it to, hopefully pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that this horse could go well with a clear run from one of the inside stalls. So again, I don't have an issue with the ground because he's only one on good to firm or potentially good ground. I think the ground will be worse than that at Haydock.
Yeah.
But he ran well and finished 2nd on soft ground in Shantil back in May in a Group 3. And as we've just discussed about looking at the sires and things, the sire of this horse is actually Sansamali, who won on heavy ground back in the day. So I don't think the ground would be an issue for him. But 8-1 time for Sandals.
So Lazat, the favourite.
Yeah, I'm not backing
We didn't
Lazat.
discuss. You're not backing it, but you say he's got a good chance.
Yeah, I'd say a good chance, 2-1, but in a 19-runner field or 17-runner field potentially,
Yeah.
I just think that there is definitely more options around.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you mentioned that because we don't want to get any nasty comments like we did saying backing the favourites like we did last time.
That guy never came back to my comment.
Of course he didn't. He's a
Shit
keyboard
houses.
warrior. He's a
Shithouses.
shithouser keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
Put in his place
Keep them coming in though. Keep them coming in.
Yeah. We love it. Lap it up.
Laugh it up. We love it. Makes our day. All right, so Lazat, but not betting on it. But then you've got Kind of Blue and Time for Sandals. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I was just reading Duncan's comment and he said Lazat's still backable, and I've written the only thing that puts me off about Lazat is the price. Difference of opinion.
Like I say, it's not the greatest of prices, but 2-1. If someone would say, I've got a 2-1 winner for you, you're not going to turn it down. And looking at ratings wise, Lazat is the best horse in the race. But I just think in that bigger field, I think there's potentially more on offer.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned this season about the sprinters is they're all much of a muchness, and it's kind of the old cliche of just throwing the cars up in the air and seeing which ones land where, because in theory, he's £5 clear on official ratings, which as a level weights race, you would think he should absolutely hack up. And if that is the case, 2-1's a gift. But so often in these sprints, we saw last year, Montasib won for Haggis at 25-1, an absolute shocker. So, and that had no Group 1 form really. So, and it's kind of that stage where you get towards the end of the season, the ground goes a bit dodgy, as Duncan said, and you just get some weird results. So 2-1's just about okay, I suppose, but I'm probably going to look for something a little bit bigger. So the first one I've got here is Kind of Blue, which I know Duncan kind of likes as well. He was actually only beaten ahead in this race last year, but proven that he's up to Group 1 level when he won the aforementioned Sprint Cup the Champions Sprint at Ascot at the end of the season last year. And he also proved on that day that he can handle a bit soft if it does rain around the weekend. Interesting campaign this year, much lighter campaign. He absolutely bombed out in the Group 3 Chip Chase Stakes at Newcastle in June. So I would argue, without knowing the details, there must have been something amiss with him, because he had a little bit of time off the track and then reappeared at the Curragh 4 weeks ago, where he ran okay in a Group 3 race, but I would say that he probably looked like he needed that race a little bit. And given that he's actually a fresher horse than most who have been running all season long, I think that could work in his favour. He's proven he likes the course. He's proven at Group 1 level, and he's proven if there's a bit of soft in the ground as well. So I think at 7-1, he's a really, especially if you can get 4 places, some people are doing that, you can take advantage of a nice each way price.
Nice.
Kind of Blue. And then I've got an absolute... Go on.
The other thing I'd add to it, James Fanshawe is he's only had 10 runners ever for the Sprint Cup, and he's won 2 twice, and it would have been third had Kind of Blue won last year.
Yeah.
So he obviously thinks this horse has got a decent chance, and he's in form as well.
Exactly. And then if that's not your sort of cup of tea and you want an absolute mad one, then I have got an absolute mad one at 404.
That's what we like. That's what we
Duncan's
like.
already backed it, so that's
As soon as I saw it go up, I was like, shit, here we go. Like, I'll have
Money
this.
coming in.
Fabrizio Romano, here we go. He was 40-1. The horse is called Ain't Nobody, and he's only a 3-year-old, so again, much more unexposed and progressive than some of these. He did seem to be outclassed at this Group sort of 1 and 2 level, but then he sort of sprung a massive shock really in the Nunthorpe Stakes, which is the 5 furlong Group 1 race at York a couple of weeks ago, where he stayed on from the pack really, really well. I mean, we spoke about As4, she won it quite convincingly. And he was the only one to really kind of break from the pack and close towards the line. And he actually nabbed second on the line. So I think that stepping up from the 5 furlongs to the 6 will suit him. And because he's unexposed, he actually won at Royal Ascot last year as a 2-year-old. So he's proven that he has got a bit of quality. And I think he does need things to kind of fall right for him. But I was kind of expecting he might be around 20-1 after that last race. I think 40-1 is just a big price. And you could do worse than hope for another shock in this race. If he gets up.
Kevin Ryan's also won the race twice as well in the past.
He has indeed.
Oh,
so
that's
ain't
good.
nobody
That's good,
at 41.
boys. Yeah, that's good, boys. You got a nice, nice.
2 from the top, 2 from the bottom, Carol.
Lovely. All right, fingers crossed. So that's at 3:35 on Saturday. Shall we get on to? We cover the 3:35 first because that's a bigger one, but we'll go back in time and cover the 3 o'clock Haydock. So that's the Old Borough Cup Handicap. We'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of joining forces again, I see here, looking at the notes.
Yes.
But I've got two in this again, one a short price and one another bit of a mad one. But probably the one I like most is a horse called Stress Free. That's all one word, 8-1. And quite simply put, he just ran in a much better race than this last time out in the Ebor. I know when you look on paper, it's a Class 2 and this is a Class 2, but you just know there are certain races in the calendar which are so much deeper in quality. And the Ebor is one of we spoke about it before, the Europe's richest handicap. It's one of the most sought after prizes of the season. And he did really well despite hitting all kinds of trouble in the straight. He had clung on to sort of stay on a grab fourth towards the line. He didn't get overly harshly penalised for that. He only went up £1. And a horse that sort of bred to stay over this trip, I just thought 8-1 just looked like a standout bet. I think you agree, Duncan.
Yeah, exactly what you've just said, Al. And you can tell, as Al mentioned, that the class of the race he ran in the Ebor was far, far better, even though they are Class 2 races. Just look at the ratings. You can, if you go onto the Racing Post app itself, you can see what weight they carried between the two races. So I think he was carrying like 9 stone 5 or something like that last time out. He's carrying 9 stone 9 now, and he's only up a pound. So it clearly shows that he is, he's racing, although he's only a pound higher, he's racing in a far weaker race because he's higher in the weights.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the stress-free, I think, is a very good shout at 8-1.
Nice. Good. No stresses. Dunk, what have you got? What else you got? You got a different
Yeah, the
one?
other one I kind of looked at, but the more I looked at stress-free, I prefer stress-free over this one. But I do love horses that are coming back to a race of sorts, like almost like the same race. This isn't the same race, but Master Builder 12-1 for David Menuisier, as Dave will call Menuisier. And William Buick team up again as they did last year. They won. There's a 3-year-old equivalent of this race on the card on Saturday, but this is for the over 3-year-olds. So he won the 1 mile 6 version of this for 3-year-olds only last year. And yeah, if you look at the bare form alone, it looks pretty shit considering where he's finished. But I think this horse can be potentially ground dependent. I don't necessarily think, I don't know what you two are smirking about, but there's definitely something there.
I'm being a child.
You are being a child, are you? I saw you appear on the writing there. I thought, what's he going to write whilst I'm saying this? Anyway, I've lost my train of thought now.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Yeah. Trying to be a serious podcast and look at what's going on here. It's all
Who said
broken
anything
down.
about being serious? I didn't sign up to that.
We lost that on episode 1.
I was going to say that was lost after episode 1, I think. But yeah, no, I think soft ground is potentially what's going to help this horse. And also the fact that the Menuisier himself is in very, very good form. I think he could come back and go pretty close in this.
Right, let's finish on the mad one then, shall we?
Yeah.
Another mad one.
So this in an each way double, I think it's something like 8,000-1 or something crazy I've had.
What, Tash Khan and the other one you had, what was that? Ain't Nobody.
Yeah, I've done an each way double on the pair of them. And it pays 7.5 grand for a 5 each way. Could be a good day Saturday. Yeah, it's got to go big, mate.
Each way job that is.
I'm just thinking of the social media posts if that comes off.
Drinks on you. Yeah, that's got to go viral. If that doesn't go viral, we might as well pack up and go home.
Yeah. So the other mad horse I've got on Saturday at Haydock is a horse called Tash Khan at 33-1 in the old Borough Cup. And just looking back through his form, he was running in group races for much of last season, so clearly at level kind of a bit above what he's capable of. But he showed that he's on an okay-ish mark when he ran 3rd in a handicap at Chester, off actually £4 higher than he's going to be on Saturday. So it proves that he's kind of on the right sort of mark. And he does definitely need a bit of cut in the ground. But as Duncan said, there is a bit of rain around for Saturdays, or certainly into Friday as well. So I'm hoping that... What's on?
Sorry, I've just seen what you two Muppets were fucking doing. I mean, there is...
For the benefit of the tape, we've got a shared Google Doc. Other document providers are available, and Elliot's put some expletives in there.
I think you wrote the C word, mate, not me.
No, I don't know. I don't know who wrote that.
Anyway,
you.
back to the horses. I just think that I say he's lightly raced this season. He's only had 1 race this season, and he's obviously been waiting for softer ground. So he's going to come into this race a much fresher horse than most horses. And he ran in a 2.5 mile Goodwood handicap last time out at the Glorious Meeting. And he basically led them a merry dance until about 3 furlongs out, where he just clearly didn't stay that extreme distance. Coming back to 1 mile 6 on a fair enough mark with a bit of juice in the ground. 33-1 Tash Khan for the big Saturday double.
You've heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
I think that'll be a racing blogger wanker.
Someone's in for.
Daryl Carter wannabe.
Thanks, boys. Pleasure as always. Thank you for the news, Anorak Corner, the deep dive into Top Shaggers, and the Haydock preview for this weekend. Appreciate it.
Crack of the day.
And crack of the day. Thank you for tuning in. That's a wrap. Please comment and let us know what you're liking about this podcast and what you'd like to cover next time. And don't forget, we are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and we're also on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and X. And please drop us an email. We don't get too much hate. We don't get too much hate, but we are very diverse and accepting of all kinds of comments and ideas here at Tailed Off. Until next time, race hard, race smart, try not to be tailed off. Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Great sign off.
Cheers.
Position. Annie Power at the last race down. Annie Power has gone, but in front of the last left. Melody Light.
The first time, they're running up towards the finish, and he's mistaken the winning post.